Yeah, thanks, Jim. Thanks everybody for being here today. Greatly appreciate you jumping in on short notice and you taking the time. Exciting day. I'm excited to be back on the field with our guys, preparing for a game. Obviously, the health and safety of our student athletes has been the number one priority, and really want to thank Jim and Morty, obviously both in leadership roles in the conference, for their hard work and dedication. The subcommittees, Dr. Borchers from Ohio State and everybody on that committee that really worked hand in hand with the conference and Commissioner Warren, and then everybody here locally. And it starts with Jeff Mianis. And I want to thank Doc for he and Kevin Kikagawa and our medical staff for their relentless approach to the way that we've done things and how we've gone about our protocols here. And from my perspective, the health and safety has been the number one priority. It will continue to be that way with what we do and how we do things here at Northwestern. And I feel that we're in the best hands that we possibly can be with Doc, his staff, and Kevin and his staff. We got a little bit of a heads up that the news was coming this morning. I was in our weight room, kind of as one group was transitioning out, another one was transitioning in, and the guys were absolutely ecstatic. They were fired up for the news, and then we got on a quick Zoom after the second lift wrapped up and just gave them a little tweak in our schedule here for the next 2 days as we anticipate getting more information from the Big Ten Conference on what we can do and how we can do things as we move forward, getting ready to get back to play. But the driving force obviously will be the health and safety of our guys, but especially for our seniors. I'm ecstatic that after we got postponed 40 couple days ago, to have them with the opportunity, if they so choose, to play is a group that I'm really ecstatic for. So again, thanks everybody for being here. Look forward to getting our team prepared to the best of our ability here as we move forward into October with the opportunity to play. So thanks a lot.
Hello, good to see you all. Fitz, if I could start with you and then ask Jim. Any other color or any other kind of good moments from this morning, talking to your guys, any interesting reactions, high fives, or are you guys just kind of doing elbow bumps?
Yeah, well, you got to social distance, and then you got to be able to do like this and, this thing. So, the guys were stoked, Teddy. I mean, the guys have wanted to play. They also, I think, have asked the right questions. Their families have asked the right questions, and it was imperative that those answers were put in place. And I'll let Jim speak to, how the COPC and the conference worked with the subcommittees. But from my perspective, this has just been a process of, once we got shut down, giving our guys a chance to kind of take a step back, exhale, kind of just reevaluate a lot of things, and then slowly start to bring them back. So we're kind of we had a schedule through Friday. We're going to adjust that now for tomorrow and Friday, do a little bit more installation and a little bit more on the field, take a couple days off to kind of recover, and then get really back into it next week with kind of a 6-day-a-week preparation leading into game week. So that's our schedule, but from that standpoint, the guys are stoked. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. No water dumped on any guys or anything like that. Guys just excited.
Is Rashawn the only one who you don't think will be with the team, or maybe guys who have health concerns going to opt out?
Yeah, I haven't had direct conversations with a lot of guys at this point, Teddy. But now that we know that we're playing, obviously I'm assuming not only at Northwestern, but I would assume across the Big Ten, there'll be those types of conversations. Not only I would assume it's going to happen with the player and their parents first. And then, typically as the head coach, sometimes you're the last guy to know. So at this point, we'll see how those things go. And at a certain point, through our protocols here, with however it's decided, if there's anybody else that opts out, we'll make those announcements.
Thank you.
And we'll
for Jim.
For Fitz, just what was it like watching the past couple of weeks, if you did watch it all, the college football landscape, not knowing if you would get back on the field this fall?
Well, I watched a little bit of youth flag football first. So I've watched that more than I've watched anything else. And that was awesome as a dad to watch, and a lot of fun. Same thing with watching youth baseball for my son Brendan all summer long. So that's been a joy and a treat for me that maybe in another year that selfishly I wouldn't have been able to experience. So there's always somewhat of a positive through tough times, and that was a positive for myself and our family. And then to watch ball has been awesome. I mean, I'm a football fan before I'm a coach, so It was great. I was so fired up to see the alley fade thrown by Mitch for the touchdown in Detroit on Sunday, and then that great defensive stand down the stretch for the Bears. So I got a chance to watch some more ball than I usually get to watch, and learn some valuable lessons watching some of those games, and then being able to research a little bit, talking to some of my colleagues throughout the country on how they prepared their teams, maybe some of their best practices, and then some of the issues that the teams have had in game. You've probably seen it a little bit, but the electronic whistle right now is problematic. We're actually going to get a few for practice. There's a delay in it being executed, and then the noise kind of goes in the direction of the whistle. And so there's been some late hit penalties, things of that nature of what I've learned. But it's just great to get back going to coach the guys that love the game and want to play the game in a health and safe manner.
Just as a follow-up, Fitz, we've heard a lot about the mental health of student athletes recently. Over the past month since the decision came out, how would you characterize how your players have dealt with things? And now that they know there is the season starting next month, how big of a boost is that to their mental health and how they've reacted?
Yeah, Josh, this has been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster for our student athletes, for their families, all of our healthcare providers, not only for our student athletes, but I think about everyone here in the Chicagoland area and in the country. For us specifically at Northwestern and in our hospitals, we've all been impacted by this pandemic, and it's real, and it's something that we take very seriously. And it's something that from the get-go, Doc Mianis has been just awesome from a standpoint of executing to the best of our ability, and our guys have been terrific, making great social decisions. And my hope is that they continue to do that and be leaders here on our campus. It's going to be challenging, we know that, but we'll be able to do that. From a mental health standpoint, we've been able to allocate our resources that we have here at Northwestern and within the athletic department. We've tried to stay in constant communication with our guys as a coaching staff. And the challenge really is for those that are in isolation and quarantine. It's really a hard experience for them. And so we've got kind of an all hands on deck mentality of making sure sports psych, our athletic trainers, our coaches, our support staff, our administration, our families are all in touch with those guys, because that's definitely something challenging from a mental health standpoint. And then the last part of your question about what is a day like today. I mean, the guys were fired up. I can't stress that enough. They were really excited to hear the news. They loved the game. They love to play the game. And now we just got to go, execute the plan accordingly.
Our next question is from Mike Berman with NBC. Mike, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Fitz, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, what's up, buddy?
The normal timeline is something you're familiar with in terms of going through spring ball and then coming back for fall camp and then getting into the season. I'm just curious, what do you think the challenges will be for you as a football coach and your football team in terms of, I guess it's about 5 or 6 weeks that you'll have now to the start. What do you think the biggest challenge will be in getting prepared so that you're in the best possible position to play well and win on that first week?
That's a great question, Mike. And Doc and I have this kind of crawl, walk, run, sprint mentality that we've been going about, through this process. And so, the way we onboarded our guys, the way we re-onboarded them, the way we work with our sports science standpoint from try to avoid every soft tissue issue that we can through our structure and through the way that we work, not only in the weight room, our running, but then our practices. And so you start from the game and you work your way back, right? And so as we look at next week, it'll be a ramp up, right? And then at a certain point, we'll probably hit, like everybody does in a team sport, when you really don't have a game to break everything up, you're going to hit a little mental wall, a little physical fatigue. We'll adjust and react to that accordingly. And then usually there's just a great shot of adrenaline when you get into game week, right? You know what you've got coming on Saturday. So we don't know who we're playing yet. I don't even know if we're playing Friday or Saturday, but we'll put that plan together. But we will crawl, walk, run, then sprint. That'll be kind of how we onboard the guys. And that was the biggest lesson I learned watching this weekend. we're seeing the soft tissue issues that happened. And so we've just got to really do everything we can from our structure to try to avoid that to the best of our ability while bringing our guys along. Mentally, we probably got through about 10 or 11 installs prior to getting shut down. We'll start back over at that tomorrow morning. And by the early October, we'll have everything installed. Then hopefully all the contact tracing, all those things will be answered, and we'll be able to get our guys from a blocking, block destruction, tackling, fundamental and technique prepared to play our game in a healthy and safe manner.
And so just one point of clarification, you were talking about next week getting on the field. I just wanted to try and get some clarification. When will you guys actually have an opportunity to be on the field and practice for the first time? Or is that
tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Air in our helmets, neck rolls not on, but we'll be on soon enough.
Our next question comes from Matt Albert from Inside Northwestern. Matt?
Thank you. My first question is towards Coach Fitzgerald and Dr. Phillips, and it's you were talking about how sort of players' mental health has changed and been sort of a roller coaster over the past 36 days. How much contact have you had with the families of the players, and how have you tried to use that connection and sort of with the fluid situation as it is? How have you been updating them?
Yeah, I'll start with that. Thanks, Matt, for your question. Hope all is well. It's been frequent. What we've tried to do is at every kind of milestone, when we kind of got back going and when the guys came this summer, then when we ramped up workouts, Doc Mianis and Dr. Phillips have led Zoom calls with our players and their families. I would say probably from, I'm trying to think, maybe late May, early June. It seemed like almost every couple of weeks we were on something. We haven't put it in the books yet for this weekend, but there'll be something. Jeff's probably smiling. We'll be doing something probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the families. We've already alerted our parent, our primary parent contact to alert the families and kind of what the next steps are. We hope to get over the next 72 hours a lot of questions answered by the Big Ten, so we can kind of come into those meetings. That's what we've tried to do, anticipating. Quite frankly, I'm a dad of a sophomore high school football player, right? So I try to sit there and ask myself all the questions I would ask the primary care provider at Loyola Academy and the trainers and the coaches to be able to anticipate what the families will ask us, myself primarily, Dr. Phillips and Doc Mianis about, what we're doing, how we're doing it, what the protocols are and things of that nature. So that's been the plan. I think we've done as good of a job as we can. And then there's been a lot of one-off conversations with parents individually, with players individually, not only myself, but Doc and Kevin Kikagawa and our athletic training staff, making sure we get every and all questions answered in as timely of a manner that we can. And then having the humility not to be able to answer questions. I mean, there's been a lot of those. There's been a lot where we've just said, we don't know that answer. We're going to keep it on the list. And once we get that answer, we're going to give it to you. So there's been probably more of that than we are used to having to give, but we've made sure we've been as forthright, transparent, and honest as we can.
You, Fitz. I hope all is well. You've said that you thought the team would need 6 weeks of preparation before the season began previously. You have about 5 weeks now before the season starts. You said you guys are planning to practice tomorrow, but before the initial postponement of the season, I think you guys were practicing. How do you think that translates to this period? And I mean, I'd have to think you guys will be in pretty good shape, right?
Yeah, William, hope you're well, buddy. Absolutely. I think I made that statement back before we were allowed back on campus, if I'm not mistaken, maybe back in May or early June. And that was operating under the kind of mindset that we were going to start in August. So I was hoping that we would get some semblance of 6 weeks to be able to work with the guys. And obviously we're going to have more than that now if you look back to what we had before the postponement. And so we really took maybe about a week off-ish between the postponement and kind of starting workouts back. We gave our guys a chance to go home, and some guys came back this week, but they were all working out either here or working out at home with getting plans from our strength staff. So, I do think we're in really good shape. If Matt Flannery was on here, who's kind of our sports science director, I think he'd tell you we're very pleased with where our conditioning level is here to start this 5-week segment. but we will take it on a day by day, that just like we always do. I mean, we try to get it almost down to each 6-minute segment of practice to make sure we're doing the right things from a preparedness standpoint. So I feel I'm a little bit, I'm actually surprised, and I'm very happy that we're going to have this large of a window to get prepared to play. I think it'll give us every opportunity to be prepared.
Some of the things we saw last weekend, at least some of the teams, were really fundamentals and details. The things that probably stress you out more than anything else seem to be lacking. Is that something that, whether it's special teams play, just the right fits, the right hands and everything, is that probably the biggest concern now to try to shore up between now and the start of the season?
I got a lot of concerns, Scott. Yeah, there's no question. That's one of them. I need to get our guys, right now, the micro, we got to get back on the field. We got to get our urgency back up, our mindset back, ready to go compete, which I think that will happen pretty efficiently and pretty quickly. The next step then will be getting the fundamentals of blocking, block destruction, angles, tackling, and things of that nature that have to be coached. They have to be created as a mental and physical habit. Our game is not, other games. You have to practice those things from a health and safety standpoint. You have to do it in a smart manner. You have to do it in a very safe manner. But those skills have got to be practiced. And so the timing of that, how we get to that point, and then, once we get through our install, which will be pretty quickly, it'll be accelerated, we will quickly get into situational football in all 3 phases. And I think that's what jumped out to me, not only with the play on the field, but it also jumped out to me with the coaching. You've got to be high and tight with your critical decision making. You got to get back into the flow of calling games and executing situations. So we'll do a lot of situational stuff in practice. It'll be in a controlled setting, but we've got to get our guys thinking, man, first down is totally different than 3rd and 1, 2-minute situations, tight zone backed up. What happens when a kickoff is pooched? You never back up. We saw that in the Saints-Buccaneers game. I'm watching it with my boys, and my son Jack is a sophomore and goes, "Daddy, you never back up when the ball's over your head." I know, but the pro just did. So, you just got to work through those things. There's a lot of nuances of our game, and I'm just fired up and can't wait to get back out there with the guys, and I'm ecstatic for them and ready to go execute our plan.